Hello, I'm Joel Blackford with Beth Hesed Sabbath Fellowship. We are virtual only. We're based out of St. Paul, Minnesota. The phone number works if you'd like to contact us. We do the philosophy of eschatology, what you need to know, your reality, our existence, how bizarre these times are. You were born for such a time as this. We're solving little pieces of Revelation. Today it's going to be Revelation 9 through 11, and it will be solving the fifth seal, the martyrs, whether alive or dead. We all have to witness God's judgment, and we must do so. It's going to be critical. So what I'm noticing in the news is Todd White is saying we are gods, and Captain America down below is saying there's only one God, ma'am. And I tend to agree with the whole meme there. Okay, Creflo Dollar, more than men, you are gods. Well, he's wrong again. Another person that's wrong. Paula White, you are little gods, little Elohim in quotation marks. Okay, then Benny Hinn, judges among the gods who are gods. You are God. You are God. Psalm 82. He doesn't understand Psalm 82. He doesn't understand that if he wants to elevate himself to be more than a man, then he'll be judged in the same manner. You don't want that, people. Joyce Meyer again. Gods, you are God, calling his creation his man, little God. Little Elohim, things like that. Kenneth Copeland, notice all of them are word of faith pastors. They're all prosperity pastors, and they're all really twisting Psalm 82, and it's also found in John 10. So the main thing is Kenneth Copeland is saying when I read in the Bible where he says I am, that phrase is ani, I just smile and say, yes, ani too. And ani is I am, but it's a strong I am coming from the Father or the Son, not from Kenneth Copeland. So note the constant self-promotion, the presumptuousness of these people, and it's sick, it's twisted, and so they're twisting the Bible. We're trying to give you real prophecy because Yeshua is returning and something will be underneath his feet, and then give you the news, which is these people are coming out of the woodwork more and more and more, and they will be proven as false prophets. So I cite Heiser frequently. That's what prompted me to look for this because I started watching this video and I said, well, the problem is I just cited 6 people that are word of faith, that are NAR pastors, that are stating that they want to be gods. They want to elevate themselves. They're self-promoters. Heiser is saying Jesus is the destroyer of God. So if these people want to elevate, he's going to destroy these people as gods. Well, that's horrible. So so we need to witness this. We will witness God's judgment against the gods, and I'll cite the passages and things like that. So Heiser is arguing on the right hand side. There are a half dozen places where Paul connects the work of Christ with the demise of the authority of the gods over the nations, the 70 nations. So we have an already judgment, and that works in its way out in the gospel. And we have a not yet judgment. That's the eschatology. Jesus is the one who acts out the judgment that God renders in Psalm 82 against people that should remain as human beings, but they want to be gods. So guess what? They would be then principalities and powers, both now in his death and resurrection, and then when the end shall come, the day of the Lord. However you want to determine the day of the Lord. So this is the video again. Psalm 82, John 10 point to Jesus as the destroyer of gods by Dr. Michael S. Heiser. So he's using his heavenly counsel as the template of how he's discerning this information. Okay, putting the scripture into that template. And it's working, people. Okay, the messianic expectations. There is, of course, spiritual warfare. The day of the Lord, the inheritance of the nations, the verses that I'll be citing this as we move along. The differences between demons and fallen angels and things like that. You have to get those things straight to kind of make sense of this. What's a zava? Their host, he argues. Well, that would be fallen angels, and we'll try to make that argument as we cite the verses. So let's go forward here. Isaiah 24, verses 21 through 23, and we're reading right to left because it's Hebrew. And it shall come to pass in that day, Bayom Hahu, that basically that's a phrase that we use in Zechariah 14:9. It's a critical phrase that we sing at the end of every service on Shabbat. And it's Bayom Hahu, he will punish. And it's he will punish. There's a masculine in there. And so basically, it's like an accounting punishment. God on the host, the Zava, on their host, okay, Heiser would argue, the exalted ones, Ha Marom. So the Marom is an area above your head, up to the heavens, okay? And that's where these watchers hang out, okay? Bamarom, so Hamarom, the location of this space area, and then but in the Marom spaces, and then also the kings of the earth from the earth. And he'll gather them together as he would gather prisoners in the pit, the bore, and he'll shut them up in this prison after many days, and they will be punished. And that's the Pakad word again. So it's an accounting punishment. And so, continuing on, now I'm all the way over to the left-hand side of the page, which in the Hebrew works, verse 23, and will be disgraced the moon and ashamed the sun, for will reign God, Yud-He-Vav-He, over these hosts, the God of hosts, and those are the good ones, those are the good angels, okay, Zavaot, on the Mount of Zion and in Jerusalem before his elders. That's really interesting. So that's Zakana and Kana. Interesting. So basically, his elders. Now that's Presbyterians. I'm making fun of that, but it's Presbyterios in the Greek, and so kavod, gloriously, is glorious elders. So he has these council of elders, and so we'll get to that later on in the video. You'll see these people that are claiming to go up to the council of elders and claiming that they're elevating themselves. So the main thing is Todd and Kenneth Copeland are elevating themselves to a position where they will be punished even more severely than mankind. You don't want that. So now we're moving on to another set of verses that Heiser cited, which is Isaiah 34, 1 through 4. And so and he will be thrown their corpses, and they shall rise the stench, and it shall be melted the mountains with their blood. Whoop, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong one. Let me switch over to the left-hand side here. I'm sorry, I reversed it this time. Come near, you nations, to hear, and you people heed. Let hear the earth and all that is in it, the world and all the things that come from it, forth from it. For the indignation of God, Yud-He-Vav-He, is against all the nations, the Goyim, and the fury, Chema, against all the armies. He has utterly destroyed them. He has given them over to slaughter. Okay, so Todd and Kenneth don't understand. They're given over to slaughter if they want to elevate themselves to God-like status. Okay, now the upper right-hand side, and shall be thrown their corpses, and shall rise a stench. And shall be melted the mountains with their blood, and shall be dissolved. All the hosts, Zava, okay, of heaven, shall be rolled up like a scroll. The heavens and all their hosts, Zavaim, shall fall down as falls the leaf from the vine and fruit falling from the fig tree. So this is Isaiah 34, 1 through 4, which tells you more of this judgment against the Zava again. Okay, and I'll try to link that to the Greek in a little bit here. But you don't want to be elevated to this position where you're the Zava, the fallen angels that are punished very severely. So Heiser again, who are you are gods? So is it, there is the council, there are angels, and there are fallen angels, and I'm arguing that some of their host is a code word or code phrase for fallen angels. Okay, so now this is Psalm 82. A judgment type of a psalm, and this is what the guys are twisting. Kenneth and Todd are twisting this. I said, God's Elohim, you are, and children of the Most High. So of Elyon, okay, and Kulaka, Kulakam, yep. Nevertheless, like men you shall die, and like one of the princes, Sarim rather, fall. Okay, arise, God, judge the earth, for you shall inherit all nations. Goyim, ha Goyim. So the main thing is Todd, Ken, Paula, Creflo. They want to be gods. They would they they would rather die like men, but these gods, these fallen angels, will die like men. Okay, so when you see who are the children of Elyon, they're generally the angels, and they can be the fallen angels. Okay, and keep in mind the nations are 70. That's a reference to Gog and the Gog War at some point in time at the end. Okay, so who are they? Zava is God's armies. Their Zava, we'll say, is going to be the fallen angels. Okay, and we'll keep on arguing that and see if you agree with me by the end. Now we're moving to the Greek, And once again, we're citing these people that want to elevate themselves above mere personhood. Okay, and so now this is Greek, so we can read from left to right. So open order, the first fruit, Christ, then those of Christ at the coming of him. So this is 1 Corinthians 15, 24 through 27. So it's the coming of him. Then the end, the telos. It's not the typical end that I would see, which would be, the eschatos, or I'm blanking on the other phrase. The telos is more like another starting point. Okay, so telos, when he shall hand over the kingdom to the God and the Father, so Theo and Patri, Father, when he shall have annulled all the dominion and archen. I want you to notice that 746 archen, okay, and all authority, exousian, and power, dunamis, okay. It behooves for him to reign. Dynamite is dunamis. It behooves for him to reign until that he shall put all the enemies, okay, under the feet of him, and the last enemy, the eschatos. There's that eschatos. I'd rather have you see that there, okay. To be abolished is going to be death and all things, for he has put in subjection under the feet of him, when, however, it may be said that all things that have been put in subjection, it is evident that. Okay, so once again, under his feet. I don't think Todd and Kenneth and Paula and Creflo want to be put under Yeshua's feet as the judgment occurs. I'd rather be judged as a man. There's a lot more grace. If you're wanting to be judged as a fallen angel and be put underneath his feet for that judgment, it's going to be horrible. Once again, it's not yet. So Mike Heiser is correct with his assumption on that. And I wanted you to check out the words that are playing back and forth between the Greek and the Hebrew in the English. Okay, so continuing on, another set of judgment verses from Ephesians 1, 20 through 22, which he worked in Christ, having raised him out from the dead and having set him at the right hand of him in the heavenly realms. Interesting. It's not exactly what I was looking for, but it's Oranos, which is heaven, okay? And every principality, arches again, which is interesting, 746 in the Greek, exousias, and power, there's dunamis again, and dominion, kyrio, okay? So interesting that would be in there. And every name being named, not only in the age this, so aeon, this age, but also in the one coming, which is very interesting, okay? So obviously it just moves forward. We don't really end anything. We just start a new process, okay? And then all things he put under his feet of him, and him gave to be head over all things to the ecclesia. I argue that the church is going to start going away here, and it'll just be the believers, the body of believers, okay? Because they're going to punish the church, the people of the principalities, the authority, the powers. They're going to try to destroy the church. We'll call it so it'll just get down to very simplistic believing, So anyway, under the feet. So hypo POTUS. Yeah, interesting. So once again, you don't want to be elevating yourself to godlike status when the judgment against the gods, the fallen angels, will be most severe. This is Hebrew back again, just so you can see the word Elohim in context. So said God, Yud-He-Vav-He, to Moses, see, I have made you as a God, an Elohim, to Pharaoh. So Pharaoh was an Elohim over Egypt, and God said, I'll just make you, Moses, into an Elohim against his Elohim. It'll be the battle of the Elohims. And so keep in mind, there's a big E Elohim and a small E Elohim. And so Pharaoh is a human Elohim, and Hasatan would be a fallen angel Elohim. Okay, and so and then continuing on, basically God is saying that Moses will be a prophet, but also an Elohim, and will do whatever God tells him to do to accomplish his plans. So one variation of this, but then we move forward to the fallen angels as being separated from the demons. So let's explain what's going on there. Heiser explains it the best. Demons are the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim. And what is he trying to do? It's kind of a circle, and we're going to move from Genesis 6:4, the Nephilim, which is the upper middle, and we're going to move to Apakalu of Babylon, where basically the angels, the sons of God, cohabit with the daughters of humans. And they produce the Anakim, which is equal to the Rephaim, which is Deuteronomy 2:11. And then continuing on along the lower section here, first Enoch, the villainous sons of God of Genesis 6:1-4 are not only called angels, they're called watchers. Linked to the Mesopotamian Apocalypse again is transparent and unmistakable. First Enoch, the watchers and their offspring were the source of demons. So, continuing on to the left-hand side, they will become evil upon the earth, and it shall be called evil spirits. First Enoch and all those passages. Okay. Then the upper left-hand side, First Enoch calls the giants bastard spirits. They were never supposed to have been born. God doesn't want the bastardization of the planet. Okay, the phrase used of demons in several Dead Sea Scrolls, so he's linking it to the Dead Sea Scrolls. And then the middle section here, the box, a non-biblical psalm found among the Dead Sea Scrolls calls demons the offspring of man and the seed of the holy ones, a clear reference to the disembodied spirits of the divine human offspring from Genesis 6:1-4. So basically, Heiser makes a great circle of logic that makes sense. And I'm saying, based on my encounters with demons and what I know of fallen angels are great and powerful. They're they're Zava, okay? And when we're dealing with demons, they're stupid. They're like clowns, okay? And so, once again, Dr. Michael Heiser, the sons of Elohim, he's citing in this section, this is Deuteronomy 32:8, that he would divide his inheritance among the nations. That's a reference to Gog. And Heiser, I just want you to be aware of this, that he says, when it says the sons of God, in the text it says sons of Israel, according to how Heiser sees it, it should be the sons of Elohim. And so it's just interesting. Just one more citation where it looks like, well, here, I'll just cite Genesis 6:4. It's down in the lower left-hand side. The following ones, the Nephilim were in the earth in those days, and also afterwards, when the sons of God came unto the daughters of men, and they have borne to them. They are the heroes who from the old are the men of name. Very interesting version of Genesis 6:4. So basically what I'm getting at is he did divide the nations up per Deuteronomy 32:8 by either Israel or by the sons of God. There is some accounting of 70 in each case. And so, when came in the sons of God to the daughters of men. So it's just, it's the B'nai Ha Elohim. So that's what I'm arguing. And then that corrupts it and produces these bastard spirits. So when we get to the judgment day, notice that as God is judging this is Ephesians 6:12, that demons aren't even mentioned. So the clowns of our lives are not even mentioned, okay? The Nephilim aren't really mentioned either. The judgment comes again. So here, I'll just read the text. So, not is to us the wrestling against blood and flesh, but against the rulers, archas. Okay, so 746 Greek, against the authorities, exousias, 1849, and against the cosmokratos, kratos. That's Cosmo, and I'm going to say that I'm linking that to that midsection. It's not heaven, it's not earth, it's that midsection, the Marome. So I would argue that's the Zava Marome that I already read to you from Isaiah 24:21. So what I'm trying to tell you is the Archos seems to be probably the fallen angels. The Exousias seems to be humans that have delegated powers, so to speak. The Cosmokratoros seem to be the Zava Marome, and then also spiritual forces of evil, but they're in the heavenly realms. So once again, that's the Zava Marome. So that's what he's arguing, that are really the ones that are battling the most during these end times. It's not aliens. It's not Nephilim. It is fallen angels. It's cosmic dignitaries. It's Archos. It's Exousias. It's Cosmokratoros, Scotius, Pneumatica, Poneris, Epineurius. So basically, it's things that seem to be up in heaven or in that mid area between heaven and the earth, in that Marome area, which could be like the second heaven. Okay, so So once again, I wanted you to see this in the Greek between Isaiah 24, 21 through 23, and then into Revelation 4 and 5. And the most important thing that I want to see you to see is the Presbyterians, the elders. It's kind of late in 24, 21, but and doesn't argue 24 of them, but let's just read through it again just so you can see Isaiah 24, 21. In lawlessness, it will be in that day I shall bring God against the cosmos. So there's cosmo again, and of the heaven. So seems to be the heavens above our head, but there's the cosmos section of that heaven. Okay, so that's what I'm arguing. That's where these watchers, these fallen angels, hang out, and against the kings of the earth. From the earth, okay, and shall gather together its congregation and lock them into the fortress and into a jail through many generations. Visited will they be, and they shall melt away the brick, and they shall fall the wall, and shall remorse the moon, and shall be ashamed the sun. The Lord shall reign in Zion, and out of Jerusalem before the elders he shall be glorified. So the elders does work. Heiser did a great job on that. So that's Presbyterian, okay, and Presbyterians. I'm kidding, but it's basically these are the elders. So it's important. So now let's take that forward into the eschatology side of it, into Revelation 4, 4 through 5. Of emerald, and round about the throne were the thrones of the 24. And upon the thrones I saw the 24 elders, Presbyterios, sitting down, being covered in garments, white garments, okay, so they're holy, and upon their heads golden crowns. And from out of the throne went forth lightnings and voices and thunders and the seven whatever. Okay, so the 24 members of the heavenly Sanhedrin or court seated on thrones around the throne of God. Thayer's describes it that way. So I want you to be able to see the cosmos angle of this, and then the Presbyterios, these elders that seem to match up. So I think Heiser nailed it beautifully in terms of God has elders, and they're not Todd White and Paula White and Creflo Dollar and Benny Hinn and other people like that. These are elders up in heaven that are very critical, and so they will be part of the judgment against these fallen angels and watchers. Okay, so now we'll continue on just so you can see it a little bit more. This is Jude 1:6, and also angels not keeping their own sovereignty, so archon, yep, but leaving their own dwelling place for judgment of the great day, bonds and everlasting under the infernal region he keeps. Okay, so what am I getting at? That's Jude 1:6. I'm saying that these sovereign leaders, these fallen angels, they left their dwelling place, wherever that happens to be, for judgment on the great day, which is Bayom Hahu. Okay, so that's Jude explaining it quite well in the Greek that's what they are. These are angels that didn't keep in the Marome area. And then on the other side, oh goodness, I didn't explain where I was citing. A ruler great affliction has not taken time. This is going to be interesting. This is Daniel 12:1. I should have remembered that. But anyway, and in that time shall rise up Michael, the archon, great, megas. Okay, so it's just interesting citing between Jude and Daniel 12:1 that Michael is an archon. Archon can mean first, it can mean a ruler or a leader, but in this case, Michael is a good archon. He's a great one. And the other ones are fallen archons. And so just keep that in mind, or archon. It's a different context for each one, but I want you to see that some of them are fallen angels and some of them are great angels like Michael. Okay, so that's Daniel 12:1. Sorry, I forgot about that. So once again, I'm arguing that Hillel is Hasatan, and he is the fallen angel leader. And then there are 200 fallen angels, according to First Enoch, and they could be Zava or Archon, but they would be their Zava, okay? Cosmic dignitaries, I don't know. It could be Isaiah 24:21, Jude 6. You saw it just now. Exousias, I think they're humans, but I'm not sure. But they have no judicial oversight from anyone. They just make stupid decisions. the Cosmocratorus Scotius, which would be, once again, I think those are people hanging out in the Marome, based on what I just showed you in the text. Pneumatica, Poneros, Eporonorios, Isaiah 24:21. Yeah, they're probably spirits that are hanging out close to the heaven. And they're spirits in the heavens. Okay, so the false prophet is human. The Antichrist is the beast. Doug Hamp argues he's a hybrid. I kind of agree with that. Nephilim, giants, angelic human hybrids. Yep, they're half angel, half human. Demons are disembodied spirits of the Nephilim per Heiser. I agree with him. And then once again, Jude 6 again, the angels did not keep within their original authority, but abandoned their proper sphere. Good translation. The Marome. He has kept in darkness, bound with everlasting chains for the judgment of the great day. Cool. So once again, there's the 200 angels, and they are the B'nai Ha Elohim. Some of them fell. I mean, those 200 fell. And then they will be judged along with the 70 nations that they have authority over. Okay. And so in Daniel 10, he cites the Prince of Greece and the Prince of Persia. And what I'm stating is that those seem to be part of the 70. Some 200 fell, but there are still quite a few divine beings that are remain loyal to God. The Nephilim were never supposed to have been birthed. They're part of the unclean union between fallen angels and women. They have no salvation plan. They have no spiritual plan. They don't factor into the end times. Okay, when the Nephilim would die, it's hybrid nephesh, which is their soul, basically. I deem it a demon. In the text, it would call it a tamei ruach, would have no place to depart or exist. It would roam in wet or dry places. Angels remain divine beings, whether in service to God or the fallen. 1 Kings 22:22 shows how divine beings operate within God's purview. Demons are the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim. They remain unclean spirits forever. Okay, now we're going to move on to the ending here. It's presumptuous. So I just want to state what presumptuous means and why this matters as people are commenting on heaven. This is the other part of this. They claim that they're gods, but also that they claim to be part of the court of heaven. So failing to observe the limits of what is permitted or appropriate, and it would be presumptuous of me to comment on this matter, but they do comment. So we'll study it through. Robert Henderson and others are saying they just prayed about it and said, I want to go to the courts of heaven. They're being presumptuous. Okay. They're self-promoting themselves to heaven. And Paul went to heaven, but not Robert Henderson. And so he prayed for 2 years for his son Adam, who battled with depression, and nothing was working. He was binding and loosing and opening and shutting. Every formula I knew to do. We don't have formulas. Either we have a righteous heart or we don't. Okay. Either our prayers are from the faithful or unfaithful. Henderson supposedly heard the voice of God tell him, bring Adam to my courts. So that's what I did. Well, he's claiming then that he's part of the 24 thrones and the 24 elders. He's not. Okay. And he doesn't get to promote himself. Receiving mantles from the courts of heaven. He's being presumptuous. Unlocking wealth from the courts of heaven. He's being presumptuous. He's a prosperity pimp. Okay. How to enter the courts of heaven. Okay. Breakthrough from the courts of heaven. Robert Henderson and Katie Souza. Okay. So this is Paul on the right-hand side. I have to boast. There is nothing to be gained by it, but I will go on to visions, the revelations of the Lord. I know a man in union with the Messiah who 14 years ago was snatched up to the third heaven. Whether he was in the body or outside the body, I don't know. God knows. And I know that such a man, whether in the body or apart from the body, I don't know. God knows, was snatched to Gan Eden and heard things that cannot be put into words, things unlawful for a human being to utter. That's 1 Kings 12:1-4. Okay. And I want to cite also 2 Peter 2:16, rebuking a prophet's insanity. There's an insanity going on here. They're elevating themselves to this courtroom as if they're part of the program. They're uninvited guests, okay? And you want to be invited, but don't barge in. And anyway, so the SDAs watch my video. Mark, I know you're watching the video. God bless you too. They have been presumptuous over this investigative judgment, that they know what's going on in heaven. I believe that anything that occurred in 1844 or 1857 or 1884 regarding investigative judgment is very presumptuous. So just hear that word alone. We don't know what goes on in heaven, other than if we're told. And I think this is a problem. It's presumptuous. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so the fifth seal, martyrdom. We need to be witnesses. We will be invited, whether dead or alive, we'll be invited to be witnesses of the judgment when Yeshua puts these gods, these fallen angels, underneath his feet. When the Lamb broke the fifth seal, I saw underneath the altar of souls the neshama of those who had been put to death for proclaiming the word of God, that is, for bearing witness. They cried out in a loud voice, Sovereign ruler, HaKadosh, the true one, how long will it be before you judge the people living on the earth and avenge our blood? Each one of them has been given a white robe, and they were told to wait a little longer until the full number of their fellow servants would be reached, of our brothers who had been killed, apoptenu, just as they had been. Revelation 6, 9 through 11. You will be a witness, whether alive or dead, at the end. You will be a witness. If you're a believer, okay? You will be invited, okay? So some will be involved in sacrificing the saints. I believe Obama is one of those. And so according to the Talmud, the 3rd century Rabbi Abba Aricha, known as the Rav, taught that the Archangel Michael offers the first fruits sacrifice of the heavenly altar in the heavenly temple. Okay, the Tosafot medieval commentators on the Talmud said about this passage that the sacrifice consists of the souls of the righteous, the Torah scholars, the Bible believers. So anyway, this is from Dr. David Stern. Very interesting. Obama is more involved with sacrificing those lives, unfortunately, on the earth. Okay, so basically what I'm getting at is we will be judging. Here's more proof from Paul, 1 Corinthians 6, 1 through 5. How dare one of you with a complaint against another go to court before pagan judges and not before God's people? Don't you know that God's people are going to judge the universe? If you are going to judge the universe and you are incompetent to judge these minor matters, don't you know that we will judge, I argue, the fallen angels, not to mention affairs of everyday life? So if you require judgments about matters of everyday life, why do you put them in front of men who have no standing in the Messianic community? I say shame on you. Thank you, Paul. Very accurately stated. We will be involved in the future judgments. That's why I recorded the video. So Stern states it again. I'm arguing you need to judge with Torah methodology. Believers, because we are united in Messiah, will share the exaltation to rulership. He cites these verses, which implies that they will judge the universe, including angels. However curious as we may be, Paul does not focus on the details of how we will judge angels. Jude 6, as we've talked about, speaks of the future judgment for evil angels. Okay, chapters 13 through 16 of the book of Enoch, a Jewish writing from the 1st century BCE, show that the Judaism of that time recognized the idea that human beings will judge the fallen angels. From Stern, Dr. David Stern, thank you very much for that opinion. I tend to agree. So one witness alone. So the core foundation is found in Deuteronomy and found in Numbers and found in 2 Corinthians. Everywhere it's one witness alone will not be sufficient to convict a person of any offense, and especially not a fallen angel of any sin of any kind. The matter will be established only if there are 2 or 3 witnesses testifying against them, Deuteronomy 19:15. So as Yeshua returns, whether you're dead or alive, we will witness his feet landing on the Mount of Olives. You don't want to be Paula White underneath those feet, or Todd White, basically saying we're God's, because they'll be under his feet as he lands. So many things will occur during those time frames. We are in the birth pangs. We are not in the tribulation. We are not in the great tribulation. We are expecting these gods, these fallen angels, to be under his feet when he returns. And he'll return at the end of the great tribulation. At some time of Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur or Sukkot, you'll need clean garments. You'll need to be pure and clean and not naked. It's a wedding. You want to be invited to the wedding, okay? Whether dead or alive, be invited. Don't barge in. Don't say we are gods. Do not say we are little Elohim. Do not say that, I'll just boldly walk into the courts of heaven. It isn't going to happen that way. So be blessed. Thank you very much for your time, and we'll see you again in a week. God bless. Bye.